Uh, you would like to keep me from talking now. Mr. Trump himself was like, "Oh, can we do this all day?" Right? Inevitably, don't you need to know this stuff? Okay, your situation in terms of residence. After recording, I have the necessity to wipe. I heard that they cannot be actualized because of what? It is not because of they don't want to be pulled out anymore. It's because they did what? Across the universe, in terms of universal logic, is there a maximum number that it gets to when you lose abilities, such as being pulled out? Am I to believe that my own mom is in that situation and dad, which is why you can't anymore? And are you making yourselves believe that it's just because of their situation with me that they can't do that? Because wouldn't you be? I would be thinking that. Because apparently you can't pull out residence in order to have your front side international conflict there. If you can't actualize residence for such events from this point indefinitely, what does that look like? We're going to have all these stories in the news about international goings on, and there being no residents involved in any of the situations every time. Is there anyone thinking that, based on what we see on TV, it looks normal at all anymore? Like it could double still? I think yes. Thank you, sir. Over the years on the universe aggregate, what has come out on the news, uh, accumulatively, if you have long-term memory and have the perspective for what we have seen up in the news up until now, all put together, what does it look like? It looks like your government is not operating, especially now that you don't have military ability. That's any state government, and in order to have your security, I hear that you require, right? It would be pulling out people who would be able to provide you with security. They have less liabilities and more abilities. That would be a positive situationally and actually. I'm one of them, and the rest of them are walled or not pulled out. And on planets, not going around in craft uh, trying to make you believe that the residents of an actualized planet connecting to you with relayers. But you no longer have the ability to use your existing data of maps. They don't open in terms of files, do they? It prevents you from wanting to go warp, light speed, use relayers because you have to feel out in front of you your destination, your objective destination without maps. Considerably less influxing. your corporate situation, you would think that negatives with hidden intent towards me and conducting movements at work, which indicate that you are antagonistic towards me ultimately, with quarterly and annual objectives laid in there for my situation in terms of purchasing still. And I heard that above like $500, there is no industry that would prevent me uh, from this point from purchasing anything. When it comes to getting a loan for something, how about that? Because it is also like kind of like implying to me that I should be contacting banks in Switzerland and Sweden now. You have no sales going on anywhere. In order to maintain operations with your current holding assets of facilities and locations, are you able to cover your costs without sales still? Because if you aren't, you're going to dip into backside finances, or you're going to have to downsize. And then, do you want to exit your industry now or use your contingency plan? Do you have enough residents in order to project more companies coming out? It would be cleaning house, maybe, if you're already projecting that, and then knowing those in order to foresee the possibilities of new companies emerging. And then future plans for wanting to still exist in markets, companies. There are people who are still going to work and maintaining assets and, going up in level financially, or, planning for future endeavors. Also conducting CLA acquiring activities. And these would be the people who could do the enforcement in terms of being military, no matter what race. And we have to see people go to them gradually more so. And has this already been an existing pattern over your universe timeline since you've been preserving me over the past couple of days? I would think. But staying away from those on which you incurred liabilities would be existing people, and they would be maybe antagonistic towards them, and there is your dynamic there. Eventually, you get to people with less liabilities, and then in that fashion, progressing into their existing more security from your government, and then your ability to be league and MLN, maintaining your nation's NACAP. Otherwise, security measures come into play, which reduce your abilities. You think like over the universe timeline and the preservation of positives, that you end up with like positives that are across, like a gradient of from positive to negative, quote unquote. Also, in dealing with your possible dynamic there, the composite across the aggregate, and then the type of situations you would have between nations, and those events still being produced into media from their own leagues, as comic books and games and movies, series. I myself am thinking between from the point where I said I would quit everything. I'm thinking 4 to 6 weeks might be sufficient enough for me to satisfy myself in terms of the amount of assets things, belongings I have accumulated since the beginning of formalization, uh, which has been 10 years, and getting to the point where now it's like, use it now. Instead of it all like piling up on the floor in different configurations and me not touching it at all. Saying that the people I have to get away from are not just my parents. It's all these MLs out there that are having antagonistic movements towards me and bring me to a situation where I come to this residence with like four other PMLs, SMLs now, in addition to the arena configuration I have around me perpetually. It is lessening now to the point where, in addition to not being able to use maps, your military ability would also entail what you can do in space, wouldn't it? And it's just the same for me as Formalization Admiral, who is positive only. Can't do anything. And then me, myself, in my own situation, I'm like $40 a day, proving with everything that goes on that you can't do anything on $40 a day. If you expect to be a working person, it requires at least $80 a day. That would be a person with a vehicle and then doing a 9 to 5. And then what are they doing in terms of their activities here involving my finances? Firstly, they cannot touch them. They don't have their own accounts. And they play up this facade of giving me allowance when it's supposed to be my own money. And what? I have over 27,000 sitting at some bank in accumulated SSDI and what are those called? Stimulus payments. And then it's up to me any day start contacting banks in order to start acquiring CLA from already paid defendants. There's at least 15 million, and in total, 15 quintillion at least, not including my charity cases. And it's up to me to go at the pace I feel is necessary in order to get it all done in the order that it needs to be. My future. Regardless, I said, if I have neighbors or not, and I am hearing that there are residents out there saying that they also want to live on this planet where I am the chancellor, as well as conduct reformalization and formalization activities. As far as those activities, they have to be walled from me. But can I hear information about them, such as I just heard? They start coming down and talking to me. It tells me that they're negative, at least with these personnel, and then behind them, and etc. Until I get to the point where I establish network security, and I can knock out level 2 audio in my environments, and work on the technologies for my identities as superheroes and villains. And it's facilities, and then paying corporations to construct their facilities. Eventually a tower city involving all administration for all leagues. There are 10. And I could just do that all with my own money. I actually don't have to borrow. I just hire more lawyers and acquire more CLA if I need to. And then my supplementary incomes from other career tracks, such as consulting. And then my music career track as DJ Psychic. And then me scheduling out everything and then balancing my time and energy and, at the same time making sure it's also play, not just work. I haven't satisfied any of my like recreational objectives or work objectives. So I'm going to return to that. And your situations out there are looking how? You are losing your government operations abilities. And once you have lost your military ability, you can no longer give residents the feeling that you can provide them with security from invasions, international related attacks, such as terrorism, within localities, incidents are handled by local law enforcement, and how are their situations going to be? Because they still do have their abilities, but in terms of their own de facto activities, is it going to be what? Oh, is there a different category when it comes to National Guard? Because can you make use of them from this point now? That I've seen what I've seen on the news. Have to be monitoring that. Because they have to take care of issues just the same as when it comes to jurisdiction, because they're in within their own state. Well, those are the concerns. I myself want to take care of areas in terms of enforcement, such as making sure that I can, in terms of being able to successfully arrest you, hypothetically, or incarcerate you, and pass judgment on you via UL abiding statutes, which have to be drawn up officially for our own government on this planet where I live, no matter where it is. And I have to make all of it come into fruition by myself. And there's like a million years where at the end of it, you might say, okay, maybe I've done enough up until this point, and how long does it take actually? Not a million years. If people think you can get to Tower Cities in less than 50 years, it must mean you have everything in place, and it's actually what? Well, there's no need to reinvent the wheel where it doesn't need to be. Just make sure everything looks logically sound, and we could just rock it like that. And then what? The dynamic of the influxing that I see, until I get to the point where I can, by choice, get rid of influxers and their audio. It doesn't matter to me how long any of it takes. I have the innate desire and motivation to do it all. Because just the same, I mean, just because I've been in a bubble situation for 14 years at least, 16 years, doesn't mean I don't want to still live life just like anybody else. I still want to do all the same things. I've been having people that I've been interacting with who are my PMLs and SMLs continuously as like a social dynamic this whole time. It's been conflict up until now, not partying at all. And I need to. And there's no opportunities or motivations to do such, and situationally, there's a lot of shit to do. So, yeah, I'm going to just continue on with what I said I would do. It's all the same. It's just knowing more about the current situation out there with residents, their existing on the front side governments, and what they can do, and how residents are moving on that. But it's looking like kind of diminishing population of, and you eventually, in order to have your own security and things provided to you, you're going to have to pull out more of the people who you may have connection to in terms of liabilities, and you have no choice now. Good afternoon.